Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. I'm glad she got arrested. Honestly, it was frightening as there was no way to get through to a crazy Karen, and she was winding herself up more and more. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Fire me for speaking up? Enjoy going out of business? Many years ago, I worked at an automotive repair shop that was owned by a very nasty person. This person actually had two shops that he ran, and the best way I can describe him was as a tyrant. Both shops had cameras, and he would watch us work from the comfort of his home. If he saw something he didn't like, such as taking a 5-minute smoke break or not sweeping for half a minute during downtime, or if he just wanted to bust balls, he would call the shop and harass us. Or better yet, at times, show up and harass us in person. In addition, he would regularly berate us for no reason, threaten to not pay us because the shops weren't busy, and would have an absolute meltdown if you dared question his authority. It was spectacular in the worst of ways. After working with him for a few months and dealing with his shenanigans and getting sick of pointless arguments with him, I started reconsidering my employment there. Around the same time, the owner decided to move me from one shop to another, really for no reason other than to likely try and push me out, as that was what he did with the few people that I had already worked with. Odd coincidence being that I had not discussed my thoughts of leaving with anyone, but I digress. I genuinely disliked the idea of working at this other shop. It was older and a bit rundown, plus it was in a pretty terrible area with high crime, but I wanted to line something up elsewhere before I jumped ship, so I made the move. This is where the beginning of the end started for old Mr. Owner. Once I got settled into the new shop, I got to talking with my fellow technicians. As it turns out, the owner was unsurprisingly a racist scumbag, and every single one of the employees at this location, aside from me, was African American. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say it's a miracle that the owner came into the shop, said what he said, and walked out breathing. In addition, he would regularly send people home with no pay for the day just to be a jerk. This went on for 2 weeks, him coming by, being nasty to all of us, and I was over it, and was just about to leave as I'd lined up other employment. The other techs were also over it. I went to give the owner my 2-week notice via phone, discreetly, which I should have known wasn't a great idea, and instead of discussing it like a human, he decided to come down and talk face to face. Well, our friend was so incensed that I put my notice in that he forced me to clock out and go home, and also forced 2 other techs who decided to stand up for me to do the same. I decided that I had enough of this guy's crap, and that not only did he deserve to have some kind of reciprocation against him, but the other techs deserved better than to continually be walked on. So I filed a complaint with the Department of Labor and outlined everything. Within a few days, they launched an investigation, and of course the owner found out who filed the complaint and called the shop and gave me hell about it, stupidly, because the phones he had were on recorded lines. Guess who I had request to listen to that conversation? In the end, I was terminated by him prior to my 2 weeks being up, as were the 2 techs who stood behind me. I filed for unemployment, which he fought me on by filing appeals with the judge, then not showing up 3 times in a row. This prompted the judge to bar him from requesting appeals against me and granting me full unemployment pay. Months later, I got a written letter from him extending an apology and offer to work for him again. 2 months later, I got a letter from the DOL saying that the investigation was closed and that I had been found guilty of multiple charges and was barred from operating a shop or any other business in the state for several years. I have an awesome supervisor. A little background. I don't work in retail, I work in the environmental and infrastructure field. I make sure that the concrete that surrounds you and stand on is up to spec and won't collapse on top of you. My uniform, we wear whatever we want as long as it can protect you from concrete bits flying around, is a plain blue t-shirt with a pocket and some thick denim jeans. After a long 12-hour shift of breaking concrete cylinders and talking crap with my coworkers, I was headed home. First, though, I thought I would stop by my favorite electronics store. Give you a hint, it rhymes with vest tie. I'm browsing around the store trying to find a nice new set of headphones for my computer when some lady who I'll refer to as EB for Entitled B storms up to me and demands that I help her. EB, you, get over here and help me now. I was very caught off guard by this. I was tired. I just wanted to get my crap and go home. Me, What? EB, you heard me. Get your manager. This pissed me off, and I responded in kind. Me, listen, lady, I don't work here, and I don't like your crappy attitude, so F off. I was surprised at myself after I said that because I'm usually a very quiet person that doesn't like confrontation. But when you just worked your fourth 12-hour shift that week, you don't put up with a GD thing. EB, what the hell did you just say to me? Get me your manager right now. So instead of arguing with her, I got my supervisor on the phone and explained what happened. I put him on speaker, and it was gold. Supervisor equals S. S, what seems to be the problem, ma'am? EB, your employee here at Vestai at address just told me I have a crappy attitude and to F off. I want him fired. S, I see. This is simply unacceptable. EB started to look at me with this smug look, but I knew what was coming next. You see, my supervisor's a really cool guy. He doesn't treat his underlings like they're below him, and he loves jokes. S, OP? Me, yes sir. S, you forgot to tell me how much of a B-word she is. I thought I taught you how to insult people better. When you get back to the office, we're going to have a long talk about how to insult people the proper way. Observe. Ma'am, your attitude stinks as bad as your butt. Now F off and leave my employee alone. Needless to say, I couldn't hold my laughter. I told my supervisor thanks and hung up the phone. I looked at EB, flipped her the bird, and strolled out of the store on my merry way. And our next story. A Thai doctor and a white guy walk up to a fruit stand. I lived in Thailand for about 2.5 years from 2009 to 2012. I was there in a language exchange program where I learned Thai in a school 5 days a week and taught English at 3 different universities. Part of the exchange was that you were supposed to live with Thai people, so I was placed with these 3 Thai guys that rented a house near one of the universities. I absolutely loved it and really became a part of the community around my neighborhood, and I knew almost everyone from the couple that ran the restaurant in my soy to the some tam lady, papaya salad, and even the fruit stand guy. So one day I'm at the fruit stand and there are about 6 to 8 people there. One thing that's different from Thailand to America is that over there no one lines up. They just sort of crowd around and it's your job to fight to have your order heard. This never really sat well with me, and in an effort to try and be as kind and polite as possible, I would always wait my turn so as to not offend anyone. So on this particular day, about 3 or 4 of the people at the fruit stand were doctors and nurses from a nearby hospital. By this time, I'd been in Thailand for about 1.5 years, and between the language, school, and living with my roommates, had become basically fluent in Thai, and was just standing there listening to the conversations around me. So up walks this lady who's a doctor, and she starts loudly and extremely obnoxiously conversing with the other people and starts shouting out her orders to the fruit guy. He kind of looks at me, waiting, and tells her in Thai, "Wait a moment, the Farang, white guy, was here first." She looks me up and down with the most insulting glare I received from anyone the entire time I lived there, and tells him in Thai, "Oh, just give me my order now. He doesn't understand us and has no idea what's happening. He's just a stupid tourist." Again, she's saying this extremely loud and obnoxiously, and at this point, everyone is shocked she said it because people just generally aren't rude like this in Thailand. A few people look at me, but I can tell they're also assuming I can't understand what's going on. I can see the fruit guy look at me, again he knows I speak Thai, wondering what I'm going to do, and this is where I get my revenge. I look at her for the first time and loud enough for all to hear announce, "Actually, I do understand what you're saying, and actually I was waiting patiently long before you arrived, and I would like some pineapple and some guava." And the fruit man started laughing so hard, I thought he was going to fall off his stool. Her expression changed immediately, and she just said, "Oh, how nice you speak Thai very well," as though nothing had even happened. It might not seem like much, but this petty revenge packed a punch in Thai culture. They have a phrase called na thek, which literally translates to broken face. Kind of the opposite of when we say to save face in English. It's when someone's embarrassed in front of others and they're made to look stupid. And it's a big deal. All of these other doctors and nurses now had a story to tell about how the annoying, obnoxious bigwig doctor suffered broken face at the hands of a simple Farang boy at the fruit stand. One other funny thing about this whole ordeal is that the word Farang, which means foreigner/Westerner/white person, is the same word for a guava. I'm not sure why or what the correlation is, if there is one, but it's the case nevertheless. So when I said I want a pineapple and guava, I was really hammering home the word farang, which made everyone giggle because it was like icing on my cake of embarrassment. And our last story. HOA Karen sued a disabled veteran because he can't walk with a straight back. I'm a disabled veteran and I have a story I'd like to share with you. So in the CCRs, do not specify size restrictions for a shed. When you request a shed, they say that the maximum height is 8 feet and the shingles must match. No problem. We go to Home Depot and a local Tough Shed outlet to look at their options since Tough Shed has high-quality customizable sheds. The issue is that I'm a tall, disabled veteran. I've inspected the sheds with an 8-foot maximum height. The 8-foot maximum is for the exterior peak of the shed, yet the interior is not quite 8 feet. My height causes me to slam my head on the interior of the shed. I already have TBI issues from the military and have severe back problems. I'm unable to work in my shed without being hunched over the entire time. I went to the VA and obtained a letter from my primary care doctor. This was after I laid out the entire situation to them, and they agreed that the height limitation imposed by the HOA should be waived in my situation per the FHA and ADA. I sent the HOA another shed request attached with the VA doctor's letter requesting to waive the height limitation in my situation per the FHA and ADA. They responded much later than a typical request, about 2 weeks later. The HOA then doubled down and did not specifically address my medical exemption request, but made the shed size even more limited by saying that from the base of the building to its exterior peak, it cannot exceed 8 feet. Before I hired a lawyer, I wrote them again. I was very polite. I explained that I didn't want to involve a lawyer, but my health and well-being were at stake. Instead of a response, I received a threat of a fine. So I hired a lawyer and sued the HOA for damages for making me suffer every day, and I won. They also had to remove the shed rule. So now I can choose my roof material and color, and it'll be the most irritating one for the Karens, believe me. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.